r/AskReddit. Girls, what was the most obvious hint you dropped and the guy just didn't get it? It's snowing. Just stay here. You can sleep in my bed. To be honest, I would just think to myself, she is really nice offering me that. I better not screw this up by trying to sleep with her. And then proceed to say, it doesn't seem so bad, but thank you. Also because there is that nagging feeling in the back of your head that says, if she isn't interested in sex, she will think that's all I want, and I'm only interested in her body, and not her, and what if she accuses me of being a scumbag or worse? Better not risk it. Or, I will die on the spot when she says, no, thanks. My buddy in college was stressing over when to make the move to kiss a girl he liked. While we encouraged him to not wait for the perfect moment and just go for it, he admitted he should have tried to kiss her when they were in the shower. In the shower. Maybe she's just being nice by putting soap on me. How kind of her. Oh man, she's such a good person. She's showering at the same time as me to use less hot water. She must love the planet. We were discussing costumes, and I sent a picture of me in my bunny suit and said I'd need help out of it. His response was telling me he hoped my roommate was home, or that would suck. I had to tell him I was implying I'd like him to take it off me, and it took him a minute to catch up. Edit. For those of you concerned, it was very much a suggestive picture. I'm not sure it could have been perceived as just friendly, and no, you won't be getting proof of said picture for those in my DMs, lol. I was very much ready to hit him with the bat of bluntness because we get along great and he'd seemed flirty with me before. More women just need to hit us with the bat because honestly there's 3 situations. 1, the guy is whooshed by it, or 2, the guy is afraid of taking it too far when the girl isn't ready, or 3, the guy isn't interested either and it makes it less awkward. Jessica, that makes no sense. How can I help you when I'm clear across town? Speed limits suddenly become 25 miles per hour higher. Forget it, Lao. Someone going that fast has no time for a ticket. Friend was complaining he was hot because of his long sleeve shirt. I said, oh, I'm sure you would be just as hot without the shirt. He was so unaware, but I finally just kissed him. This one is really sweet. Did something similar when it was 90 degrees out. My crush at the time said, God, I'm so ducking hot, and I relied, now you're just stating the obvious. Honestly, I would have missed that. I would have thought, damn, I can't just express how I'm feeling cause of the weather. I once was modeling clothes I planned to take on vacation for my boyfriend. After showing off a couple of outfits, I told him to close his eyes and changed into lingerie. He opened his eyes and I asked him what he thought. His jaw dropped and he said, you can't wear that outside. I put my clothes back on. My ex did something similar. I bought new lingerie, waited on the bed for him to come home from work. He comes in, looks a little shocked, says that's nice, and adjusts the straps. Laid down and started staring at his phone. He said later, after our breakup, that he just didn't know what to do and freaked out inwardly cause it was something he'd always wanted. LMAO. I never wore lingerie for him again after that incident. It killed my confidence. I went out of my way to come in early and talk to this guy every day for like a month before someone else told him I was into him. I also repeatedly told him I liked him. He thought I was just being nice. When a girl admits to liking you, a guy faces a dilemma. 1, you could be joking and pulling his leg. 2, you just sympathize for him, or you like him as a friend and that's it. In that order usually, really. When I was in high school, the thing mean girls would do is go to a nerdy or outcast and say some girl liked them. This was supposed to be a joke on the girl. Sucked to be me, the nerdy outcast. To this day not sure if this one girl liked me or if some girls were just being bitches. I had a girl invite me round her house once just to show me her posters. They were all of Harley Davidson motorbikes, and she said she's never ridden a Harley before. Awkward silence, and after a few other sort bits of small talk I decided to be on my way. 2 years later I'm sitting on the bus and realize what she meant. Holly. Ridden the Holly. My name is Holly. Damn, I feel so bad for her. That's a perfect line too. A guy I'm currently seeing invited me camping earlier this month. We were cuddling, and I noted how nice the showers are in the bathroom at the provincial park. I said, they're really warm and lots of space for 2 people, trying to hint for him to join me for sexy time. This man, without missing a beat, says, actually, you could fit like 10 people in those showers. We laughed about it really hard the next weekend, and he said, I knew what you were getting at, but my brain just wanted to answer it logically. I like that guy. Literally said, I want to be yours, and the dude just keeps smiling and goes on about random space facts. That one hurt a bit. What was the coolest space fact? I can't recall, sorry. I kind of just re-evaluated my whole flirting technique after that. Fair enough, I just wanted to learn about space. Did you know that, while at its closest point, Venus is the planet closest to Earth, most of the time Mercury is our closest neighbor. Even more amazing, Mercury is the closest neighbor most of the time to all the planets in our solar system. Guy here. A girl took my hat off, started running her fingers through my hair, and asked what did I do to get it so smooth. I proceeded to tell her all about the new shampoo I had switched to a month before, until she cut me off. Well, don't leave us hanging, man. What's the shampoo? No, Head and Shoulders. Cut you off how? Literally put her finger to my lip and said, you know, I've been flirting with you all night. I was 50 over 50 because I wasn't sure, but I had suspected it and had even told my friend. Was at an out of town party at his sister's house. Girl was actually his old babysitter from when we were kids. When I was like 15 to 16, this girl from school I had a huge crush on kept inviting me to her house when she was alone, wearing the smallest tops and asking for back massages. I never got the hint. Years later, when I started going out with my now fiancé, that girl's sister tells my girlfriend, hey, my sister had such a crush on him back in school. I was not a bright teenager. 15 to 16-year-old me hates 15 to 16-old you. That's nothing. When I was 15, there was this girl I had met online, playing games. We got along great, would Skype almost daily, constantly talk, just getting along well. We met IRL a few times as well, even though she lived across the country. I did have a minor crush on her, but just assumed she wasn't interested, cause she never made any moves. In hindsight, she absolutely did. I was just very stupid. So anyways, this girl, that, over the course of the next 2 years, had told me she's not looking for a boyfriend, but would love to date someone like me, told me repeatedly that I looked really cute, asked me to cuddle with her when I was staying at her place, changed clothes while I was in the room with the words, I don't mind if you see me naked. Eventually, she asked me, hey, could you see yourself going on a date with me? I, assuming it was a hypothetical or joke, replied something about how that wouldn't really be realistic, because she lived across the country. That was the end of it. I think at that point she gave up. It took me almost another year before I realized what had happened. By then she had a boyfriend. One who I assume wasn't anywhere near as dense as I was. A girl came to my house once and spent the night. Around the time for bed, she told me she doesn't sleep with a top on or panties. I told her that's okay, I'll sleep on the couch so she can be comfy. She called me from downstairs later that night and told me she couldn't sleep and she was cold. I figured, well, obviously, you're naked. So I gave her another blanket and went back downstairs. Damn. I hope she wasn't hot. Very attractive. I was just trying to be a good person. I'm sure if Emily, from 15 years ago, saw this thread, she'd say, invited this guy to my place after our date. Got him into my room, into my bed. He was just lying there, so I told him my back was feeling sore, and asked him if he could give me a massage. His reply, "Oh, I don't want to crush you with my weight." He was about 170 pounds. Gave up and went to sleep. Truth is, I did get the hint. But at the time, I was a virgin, and I was convinced I had an STD. Yeah, good combo. Turns out I didn't have an STD. Virgin with an STD. It's amazing what our teenage minds will come up with to make us even more awkward and weird. Not a girl, but I was staying a night at a hotel, and the hotel bar had just closed. I went out front for a smoke, and start chatting with two women. We shoot the shit for a few minutes, and then all head back into the hotel, and to the elevator. We get in, they press 15, I press 9, and one of them turns to me and says, "I don't suppose there's a secret bar on the 9th floor we can go to?" My dumbass respos, "No, but you can grab a cab and be at a bar in 10 minutes. Then the doors open and I leave. This is amazing. How long did it take you to realize? Brushing teeth 15 years later, wait a minute. Invited him over to watch a movie, eventually laying my legs across his lap and hard flirting, but after 4 movies, I had to finally make the move. 4 movies in one night. Or like 4 evenings spread over a few weeks. Both seems astonishingly long time to get your hints. 4 in one night. After I had told him previously that I'm giving him the green light. He said he was scared of creeping me out, lol. I'm not as brutally upfront as some of these people, but mine happened yesterday. How do I know a girl is flirting with me? He asks. She touches you a lot while you two are talking. I cannot relate at all. That never happens to me. I'm sure it does. I tell him and hit his arm. I can't think of any time that's ever happened. See, this is a rough one, because I had this one girl I'd talk to all the time, and she'd sit next to me in class. I had a huge crush on her, and she'd be overly touchy all the time. She'd occasionally even rest her head on my shoulder / sleep on it during class when she was tired. Just stare into my eyes for prolonged periods of time, and hug me. When I told her I had a crush on her, she shut me down completely and told me she only saw me as a friend. Straight up told him I like him. I think his response was something like, "But I'm kinda trash" or something self-deprecating. He's friends with my best friend, and she confirmed that his depression is so bad that it takes a lot before he actually accepts any sort of positive attention. I think to some degree it's mutual. Hard to tell, as I too am oblivious when guys drop hints. You like me? Well, that's a red flag. Are you sure? Please sign here and here to verify you are okay with a psych evaluation. I asked a guy on a festival to come take a shower with me. He didn't get it. He just repeated there was only one free shower, and I was like, "Well, they are big, I'm sure it's fine," and he just looked confused and told me I could go first. We became close friends since that happened about 2 years ago, and this summer I spoke to him about it, and he really had no idea. He did the biggest facepalm I've ever seen. Guy here but once had a girl drag me into the bathroom while at a college party saying she needed help finding her marker/pen. We didn't find it, and I figured out what was really going on a year later. You really missed out on the perfect opportunity to show her where the pen is. Now it all makes sense. My fiance thinks leaving my bedroom door open when she spent the night when we were just friends and she lived out of town and there was absolutely no reason for me to think anything romantic was going on was obvious. I got up and closed the door because the AC was on and was low-key miffed. We were friends for a long time before we got together, and she had a meeting early in the morning, so I gave her my bed and slept on the couch. She left the door open thinking I would take the hint. Do you know how creepy it would be if you tried to hop into bed without her asking if she wasn't into you? This is exactly what I said. I'm a guy, but I can share my identity as a guy that missed the hints. I went to a store where there was a girl I liked in college. We used to small talk while I browsed and never bought anything. Bring a poor college student. This time I came in the store and she said hi and we chatted a bit while I shopped. She complained, "I'm going to be home alone tonight. My family is out of town." I replied, "Oh, that's too bad." She says, "I'm off at 5 today. It was 4 at the time. What are you up tonight?" I'm up for anything. Oh, nothing. Just sitting at home and watching a movie. My brain must have completely self-destructed because the conversation ended there. I never saw her again after that. She either quit or was avoiding me. I must have been in a daze from school to miss that cue. School does that to me too, plus the fact that I'm shy and therefore believe I never get attention adds to the oblivious bliss. This was some years ago. I was 22, had been talking to this guy for a while, and was ready for my first time. I was a college student living at home, but my mom and stepdad were on vacation celebrating their anniversary, and I figured this would be the perfect time to make my move. He and I already had a date scheduled, so before we went, I cleaned my room and the entire house from top to bottom. Created a chill playlist on my computer to listen to, shaved/waxed every necessary inch of my body from the forehead down, put on sexy underwear, and waited for him to pick me up. We went out to the movies, and when he dropped me off at home, I invited him in, with the added context, and in a leading, flirty tone of voice, that we would be all alone, and had all the time in the world, to do whatever he wanted. He said, "That's alright, I'm sure you want to enjoy this time you get without your parents to be alone." He was sure, and he was wrong. I just stared at him for like 10 solid seconds in silence before I nodded, said yeah that's true, and got out of the car. The walk from my driveway to the front door was the real walk of shame, and I hadn't even gotten any good out of it. After that, I sat in my very clean house in my sexy underwear, eating pizza and wondering how that could have gone differently. It was my first time trying to seduce a guy, and it failed miserably. I laughed about it though, and I still laugh about it now. I just figured it wasn't in the cards for me yet. Ended up losing my virginity a few more years later to the guy I'm currently engaged to, so it worked out wonderfully. He's pretty good at picking up what I'm throwing down. Lol. Shaved/waxed every necessary inch of my body from the forehead down. Maybe it was the lack of eyebrows. On our first date, my current boyfriend and I went out to dinner, to a bar, and eventually back to his house to watch scary movies. After hanging out for almost 8 hours at that point, practically cuddling into him the entire time we were watching movies, dropping as many hints as I could, around 3 AM, when we were both fighting to stay awake, I finally had to look his dumbass in the eye and ask, "So are you going to kiss me or not?" Though he was totally oblivious, it did show his good heart. He was about to let me fall asleep on his couch and spend the night without even trying to kiss me. I knew he was a keeper after that. I'm a guy, but one time I was hanging with a longtime friend of mine who I used to have a crush on, and who knew that I had a crush on her and had rejected me numerous times over 7 to 8 years in her dorm. We decided that we were both tired, but her other bed was occupied by our other friend, so I was gonna lay down on the floor. She was like, "There's room in my bed for you anytime." So I hop in bed with her thinking nothing of it. The next few minutes were kind of a blur, but eventually we were literally hugging with her leg wrapped around me, and she looked me in the eyes, bit her lip, and said that she was horny. I never made a move beyond that, since she had spent the past almost decade of my life rejecting my advances. That's honestly kinda trashy on her part. I'll just reject for you for almost a decade then finally give you a chance when it is convenient to me. Guy here and been told this by colleagues. Had a date with a girl I kissed at a festival. I got her number after that first kiss and asked if she'd be down to meet in less drunk circumstances. We met, we talked and I walked her home. She asked me if she could hug me and if I wanted to sleep over. I told her I had a 40-minute drive back home. Now I saw this as an act of politeness. My female co-workers claimed it was definitely more. I still don't know though how to say this gently. You made the wrong call, bud. Yeah, I know. And I actually didn't go in because I thought, hey, let's not rush this. Let's be respectful and take it slow. See where that got me. He invited me to his house to watch a movie after a few dates. He ended up playing League of Legends for hours while I was laying in his bed and asked him many times if he would like to join. Sorry, just one more match. We dated for 2 years. After chatting for hours on top of a mountain from sunset until like 2 AM, sharing a blanket, me leaning my head on his shoulder, telling him he's attractive, etc. He turns to me and says, how do you tell if a girl is into you? He suspected that you were hinting and gave you a way to confirm or deny. Good move on his part. I'm a guy, but I once had an experience where I took the hint but still got rejected. A girl had asked me if I lost my virginity yet. We were in high school. When I said I hadn't, she said that I could practice on her whenever I want. Mind you, we walking home after school because we lived close. I try to act on this hint when we get to her house and she said she was only joking and doesn't want it to be weird with us as friends. Every guy's worst fear right here. When my boyfriend and I had just started dating, we were laying down watching a movie, but this was a small bed and he was being respectful and giving me space. I kept wiggling backwards so I could get closer to him and he kept inching backwards too since he thought I was just trying to get comfortable and he was in the way. He ended up sitting in a chair next to the bed. 3 years later we are still together and I still think it's pretty funny. He told me that when he was in the chair he purposefully left his hand next to me in case I wanted to hold it, but I guess I missed that sign too. He didn't get out of the bed because he was uncomfortable. He truly thought he was taking up too much space and didn't realize I was trying to cuddle. We were playing life and he was a police officer. The rule is, if you spin a 10, he gets your speeding fines. I literally pulled open my button down and exposed my breasts and said, what can I do to get out of paying this? He said, ma'am, I'm an officer of the law. Are you trying to prostitute yourself to me? A couple days of flirting and sexual innuendo later, I literally had to spell out that I was trying to duck him. We've been together 6 years now. Yo, that dude is serious about his role playing. I threw my panties at him and he kept explaining God of War lore. Man of culture. Well, Kratos was a slayer with the ladies.